Peace, Oakland. Welcome to Gotham, Oakland. I'm your host, Seneca Scott. If you're watching, I really want to take a second to thank everyone who's been watching the show. I get stopped in the street all the time by people telling me they appreciate what I'm doing and the content that we're putting out. So thank you. I appreciate you too. If you have not watched before, welcome to the program. Gotham Oakland is a heterodox, post-partisan news show where we pull back the curtain on Oakland's corruption. We report on things that you won't hear in the news, or we report with a little bit more nuance and sophistication than, in my opinion, we've been able to find in our local media discourse. With that being said, today we're talking about Barbara Lee's transition team. We're talking about bankruptcy. Did Oakland quietly retain a lawyer who handled Vallejo and Stockton's bankruptcy? And we're going to talk about Oakland leading the Bay Area in murders, but not just leading the Bay Area in murders, leading the Bay Area in murders combined. Combined. Deplorable. It's really, really not just shocking, or should be shocking, but unfortunately, it's par for course for Oakland. Now, quick story. I had brunch today, or breakfast, with some friends in Emeryville at the Doyle Street Cafe. Lovely, lovely place. And I couldn't help but to notice that when I drove from West Oakland through the Target area and then into Emeryville, and I took the back way, back by Wood Street, just to check it out. It is as Mad Max as ever. Absolutely shocking. Probably throw some video in here for you so you can see it yourself. It looks worse than what you're looking at right now in my screen. It looks worse. But this moment I crossed into Emeryville, I forgot the name of the street behind Target. But the moment I crossed into Emeryville, there is an invisible line. Well, not invisible. The line's invisible because of the city. But that city border, the graffiti goes away, the roads get smoother. There's no police signs. It's like a different world. It's like you're coming out of a fog. This invisible line of failed policy surrounds Oakland. So when you go into Emeryville, when you go into Alameda, when you go into San Leandro, when you go into Berkeley, you notice an immediate change. And I was hoping, really hoping that a new mayor would lead to a start of something new. But it looks like business as usual. And why do I say that? We're going to look through Barbara Lee's transition team, and I'm going to show you every single person there has had a hand in Oakland's demise. They're connected either to former Mayor Libby Schaaf, or they're connected to the nonprofit industrial complex that has been backing these nonprofits and the defund the police movement and all these other policies that are failing us. They're connected to so much. Let's get into it. Let's get right into it. So Barbara Lee's transition team includes Barbara Leslie and Keith Brown. I don't know much about Keith Brown, although he is the executive secretary treasurer of the Alameda Council Labor Council. So he's a union boss. We know that that's a very polarizing position. The unions have shown time and time again they don't care much about what's happening to taxpayers. Their contracts are more important, and they're willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to lie and smear candidate Lauren Taylor, among many other things that they're doing right now that I'm very displeased about with public sector labor unions. But let's talk about Barbara Leslie. Barbara Leslie is Libby Schaaf's bestie. Prove me wrong. Everybody in Oakland politics knows Barbara Leslie and Libby Schaaf are close. As a matter of fact, Barbara was first appointed to the port board by Libby, and then she was reappointed by Mayor Thao, and then she was the port board president. She also was the port board president when we went to our name change. Remember that? Controversial name change that failed to rename Oakland's airport to San Francisco Airport because they were so ashamed of Oakland that they had to trick people to fly in. We talked about that on Gotham, Oakland. Yeah, it was Barbara Leslie. It was Barbara Leslie that. Oh, I'm at the wrong one. Hold on. Let me look. I'm sorry. It was Barbara Leslie, and I'll show you right here, who did that. This change is an effort to bank on name recognition to increase traffic through the airport. In a late March video announcement, Oakland Board and Port Commissioner Barbara Leslie said that increasing the public's geographical awareness of the airport was key to increasing the number of flights and destinations available to local flyers. Name recognition. Oakland's not good enough name? I thought you had pride in Oakland. I thought you had pride in this city. I guess since the Warriors left and the A's left and the Dubs left, oh, I said that already, and the Raiders left, I guess the pride left with it, at least not for me, but to Barbara Leslie it did. Remember this video announcement?
I'm Barbara Leslie, president of the Oakland Board of Port Commissioners, and I have some exciting news to share about our favorite airport, OAK. We consistently hear from local travelers in our community about their desire for more direct flights to a wider variety of domestic and global destinations out of Oakland.
No, you don't hear
To
that.
make this happen, we must
our
improve
airport.
the geographic awareness among inbound travelers to the region. We found that over half of frequent international
She's saying we found that, but I don't see any. I can't even watch the rest of it because it's so disgusting. It didn't happen. We got sued. They lost. San Francisco sued. But moreover, it showed that you're embarrassed about Oakland. The Hegenberger corridor, maybe fix that. Maybe have In-N-Out come back. Maybe have the Hilton not close. Maybe not have every single airport business around the Hegenberger corridor not close. How about that? How about that? Let's move on. Down to the transition committee members. I don't know many of these people here. I'm not going to comment on them or even look them up because there's a theme that I'm going for, and I'm going to jump right into it. The big ones. Barbara Parker. Barbara Parker was our longtime city attorney. She lost so many lawsuits. She had to settle so many lawsuits. She gave terrible advice to the city of Oakland. It is in the city of Oakland's charter that if our city attorney misses 3 consecutive meetings or more, they're supposed to be removed by city council. She missed 3 consecutive terms of meeting. The lady was there for a decade and came to maybe 3 meetings. What are we? She's on her deathbed. What is going on here? Why are we bringing her back? We finally got rid of her. And now she's back. Quinn Delaney. We're going to talk about her some more. But Quinn Delaney, if you've been watching Gotham Oakland, you know Quinn Delaney. She bankrolled the defund the police movement. She is the bag woman for the Tides Foundation. She is one of the most destructive people in Oakland politics. I call her the Margaret Sanger. The Margaret Sanger of Oakland. Yes. If you know who Margaret Sanger is, look her up. This lady hates black people. She's evil. Quinn Delaney. Oh, by the way, Quinn Delaney is a Piedmont billionaire. Did you know that? I thought Piedmont billionaires weren't okay. She's also was someone who Sheng Thao depended on, and we're going to get into that in a second after I go through all of them, to be her recall. Honorable Keith Carson, he retired. He's super soggy. Just retire, man. Robert Harris, I know Robert. He's with the NAACP. Good guy. Thank God he's there. Maybe he'll keep watch over. Robert, you better be making sure these crazy people don't do nothing. And we're going to be making sure, not making sure. We can't. If you know Robert Harris, you can't make sure that man does anything. But I'm going to be praying for you and praying that you do the right thing and talk to Judge Brenda, who I know is your friend, and stop these people from destroying our city. Creighton Davis, great guy. He is the owner, or at least one of the owners, of what is the name of that coffee shop? Forgot the name of it. Over on Telegraph, right across from where the Shake Shack used to be. But it's a great coffee shop and local hangout area. I don't know why the name escapes me. But he also, just so you know, Creighton was appointed by Libby Schaaf to lead the police board group. You know all the little what do they call it? The neighborhood council groups. He was the leader of that was appointed by Libby Schaaf. Why am I bringing this up? The progressives claim that they hate Libby, and they tried to weaponize Libby against Lauren Taylor But Libby Schaaf endorsed Barbara Lee, as did also former mayor and governor Jerry Brown. What the heck? Okay. As well as Oakland's mayor Jerry Brown endorsed Barbara Lee. But Libby Schaaf endorsed Barbara Lee, even though they tried to weaponize her against Lauren Taylor. She also appointed Creighton Davis to a position. So it looks like the same incestuous politics. No offense to Creighton, but it's business as usual. Fred Blackwell is an enormously respected individual. So I am going to tread lightly here. And I hope to have a conversation with Mr. Blackwell about this, because the San Francisco Foundation that he leads has done an enormous amount of philanthropy and good work in the city of Oakland. That being said, they've also given lots of money to the Anti-Police Terror Project led by Cat Brooks. They've also given lots of money to Oakland Rising, who are going to be covering. They've given money to the Chinese Progressive Association, which is an extremely problematic organization we're going to be getting into in a second. And so let's get further into this, why these things are alarming to me and why I don't see any change happening. Actually, I see an entrenchment. I see an entrenchment of the progressive regime. They're tripling down on this agenda. Now, Barbara Lee's first 100 days is pretty vague. We're not going to talk about that today. We'll cover it next week. But her first 100 days does include at least a couple things that we can hold her to. Nothing that would dramatically increase the trajectory of Oakland, but there are some things we can hold her to. But this is very concerning. When I look at this list, right here, I am Quinn Delaney, Barbara Leslie, being the worst. You guys familiar with this? If you've never seen this before, let me break down. I made this, and to me, it is a little jab at the flowchart of power in Bay Area politics in California. Now, I want to give you a very quick primer. If you're not familiar, we're going to go over this next week. I've been holding off for weeks because I wanted to make sure that we really had the story dialed in. But the Chinese Progressive Association is one nonprofit that has two offices, one in San Francisco and one in Boston. Between these two nonprofits, they fiscally sponsor tens of thousands of other nonprofits and 501c4s, funneling dark money from foreign operatives into progressive cities. When we're talking about capturing a city, let's talk about how progressives capture a city. Now, when we say progressive Democrat, in my opinion, we're talking about people who are working with foreign adversaries to deliberately destabilize our U.S. cities. How do they do it? They capture your school board. Next thing you know, the kids can't read, they can't do math, and everybody's talking about gender ideology. This is multiple U.S. cities everywhere from Portland, Oregon to Portland, Maine. We've talked about this many times. If you're here for the first time, like, comment, subscribe, and go back and watch our old episode. Tens of thousands of nonprofits are sponsored by dark money from the Chinese Progressive Association. Chinese Progressive Association is headed by Alex Tom. Alex Tom spends pretty much all of his time flying around the world and around the country talking about communism and how America needs to be a communist country and a socialist country. That's what they're about. The Chinese Progressive Association is here to turn America into a socialist country. I'm not making this up. This is not tinfoil hat stuff. This is an actual stated agenda we can show you, and we're going to show you more. I'm putting up stuff. I will put up some things on the screen right now, just a little bit to see what we're talking about, because I don't want to get in the way of his image. But let's keep going on here. But just so you know, and I'm gonna wrap this up before I go further down the man here into the dogs, the media being dog walk. I don't know why this doggy face is cut out. Maybe he's under witness protection program. The dog could have left. But check it out. They capture your school board. They make it so the kids get stupid. Then they capture your city council. Next thing you know, you have defund the police abolitionist policies. You have NGO entrenchment, the NGOs doing city essential services. And all of a sudden, the labor unions stand down while the union members' rank and file jobs get slowly stripped away and subcontracted out by these nonprofits, something they're supposed to fight against, but somehow they don't because they're all of a sudden they're on the same team. The next thing that happens, they do these tenant rights activist stuff where they're putting small housing providers against the renters and causing all sorts of problems around housing is a human right, which again, very evil statement. Housing is a human necessity. Your human right cannot require the labor of others. More on that later. Or if you've been following me, you know how I feel about that. I've got whole videos about that. You can go find them on Gotham, Oakland. And then they also have the grift, where all of a sudden your money's getting all messed up. Every single progressive city is all of a sudden going bankrupt. All of them. But you ask yourself why. It's because they're doing this on purpose. And then one more wrinkle. After you've destabilized your law enforcement, you've defunded your police, you've demoralized and dismantled your police, then you bring in the subsidized fentanyl. Why are fentanyl doses so artificially cheap in cities like Oakland and San Francisco and Portland and all of these places that are being captured by these progressive operatives? Who do they work through? They work through the local labor unions. That's a huge part of their power. Local 21, Alameda County Labor. Remember how that guy came from? Let's go back. Remember how Keith Brown? Where does Keith Brown come from? Alameda County, Alameda County Labor Council. Right here to the bottom right. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Every single person, for the most part, on this list, I can connect to this map. And then all the way down here, after Akanandai, which is Quinn Delaney, they fund a bunch of these people, including ATPT, San Francisco Foundation, funding a lot of these same people. We can prove all of this. And then there's Dog Walk, friendly media who never, ever, ever would challenge them. But for anyone who goes against them, well, you already know what happens. Your entire life is upended with deliberate double-ended smears, absolute ignoring of the same exact. I mean, they'll call Lauren a landlord, but they'll never call Barbara Lee a landlord. That kind of crap. All right, moving on to the next slide. Remember how I talked about Akanandai? Remember this little graph from Sheng Thao's infamous token fiasco? This was the part where they talk about their money and their plan to win the recall. Quinn Delaney and Akandai was right there in the plan to keep Sheng Thao mayor. And where are they? Right here, Quinn Delaney. Oh my God. I love this. Thank you, Dave, Bleacher Dave. All of the out-of-towners or Hill residents say one West Oakland representative who's probably talking about Clayton. Unjust and inequitable continued exclusion of West Oakland resident voices and experiences. Intentional, I'll add. Now let's talk about the San Francisco Foundation. Let me go back. The San Francisco Foundation is headed by Fred Blackwell, very, very powerful and influential figure in Bay Area politics. All of these people are very, very powerful. It's pretty risky. Me doing this show, me talking about these people for you so you know the truth. I hope you know how much it costs me. I hope you know how many lawyers I have to pay, how many death threats I get, how many opportunities to make money have disappeared. It's not easy doing this work, but I do it for you. And I do it for myself because I want to live here. We're going to win this. We may have taken 3 steps forward and 2.9 steps back, but traction is the way forward, and we will win this. All right, moving back over to here, San Francisco Foundation. In its 2023, we're talking about recent stuff. The San Francisco Foundation granted $171.4 million to The 2,978 nonprofit organizations, many contributions supported left of center issues such as expansionist immigration, abortion support, environmentalism, racial activism, low income housing, and LGBTQ issues. All of these issues are not bad, although most of these nonprofits, as we know, are grifty and performative. That's why Facebook just cut all their funding from the housing stuff. Now it gets deeper. I don't know if you can see this, but hopefully you can zoom in. I'm going to read it. Some of the largest grants made by the San Francisco Foundation include $660,000 to the Center for Empowered Politics, a lobbying and advocacy organization for the Chinese Progressive Association. 1.3 million to the Left of Center Philanthropy Tide Center. Tide Center has been run up until recently by Quinn Delaney. You see how they're all embedded with each other? How it's all working together, and no one seems to notice these connections. No one notices it. It's insane. Hold on 1 second here. Sorry, somebody's. It's insane. So there you have the Chinese Progressive Association's connection. Let me go on back here. Remember, they're all in this map. I put this out weeks ago. I put this little stick figure out probably a month ago, but it's at least 3 weeks ago. Chinese Progressive Association, San Francisco Foundation, Akanandai, the unions, all people that Barbara Lee is putting on her transition thing. How is anything changing? No, they are gloating. They are playing in our faces. They're telling our revolution that we called the mayor and the DA and at least got our DA that was better for the people. They're laughing and saying, nah, nope, you didn't win. We got you. And we're going to get even soggier. You taxpayers. You, man. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Let me get back to this. They support the New Venture Fund, the Voting Rights Fund. There's a bunch of other stuff. Tom Steyer and his billionaire philanthropist and former Democratic presidential candidate, Tom Steyer, and his wife. How come billionaires need more money? How do billionaires need more money from the nonprofits? Make it make sense. But here we're going to get to the juicy one. The San Francisco Foundation maintains a rapid response fund to fund movements that require quick turnaround in 2023. Again, very recently. The Rapid Response Fund provided a grant to the Anti-Police Terror Project to support alternative housing due to the closure of Witch Street Commons, a large homeless camp in Oakland. $660,000 to be exact is how much they provided. $660,000 is how much they provided. So let's talk about that for a second. Now remember, let me go back. Remember I told you the Stickman Anti-Police Terror Project. You see them right under California Nurses Association, who gave $300,000 to run hit pieces against Lauren Taylor to get Barbara Lee elected, and then they fund the Anti-Police Terror Project. By the way, did they ever house anyone with that $600,000? Because Cop Books is begging for money again while she's union busting from LA somewhere. Who did you house, Kitty? Can anybody show me who they house? Can they show me where they're at? Can anyone show me who they house or show me where they're at? I challenge you. I don't believe the Anti-Police Terror Project housed anyone. I think Cat Book pocketed that money. Matter of fact, $1 out of $4 contributed to the Anti-Police Terror Project has gone directly to Cat Book's pocket, which is probably the reason she's union busting, because part of the unionization process is contract negotiation, which involved 4 financial disclosures. Full financial disclosure so the union can figure out who's who and what's what and how much they can afford for compensation. Last slide. Oakland leads the entire Bay Area combined in murders, with 28 murders as of May 1st, 2025. The rest of the county combined comes to, let me do the math, 14, 18, 19, 20, 22, 26. 26 murders combined with the rest of the county, 28 murders in Oakland. Richmond coming in at 0 murders. 0. Same as Marin County. Go Richmond. Good job. I hope things have been turning around in Richmond, actually. San Francisco, 5. San Jose, a little bit more with 9, but Oakland, 28. The devil run the playground, but God run the building. Oakland is the playground. The devil runs Oakland. Oakland has absolutely been captured by demonic forces, devoid of empathy, who care little for the working class. Barbara Lee's transition team is deplorable. I'll just say it. It's a deep offense to anyone who's been working hard to change the corruption in Oakland City Hall. How can you trust the exact same people whose lineage includes Libby, Thao, and all of their appointees, the Progressive Labor Union cabal, Chamber of Commerce that sold out commerce? They don't defend commerce. They didn't care. The eviction moratorium was the most devastating economic incident in the history of Oakland. The eviction moratorium, especially to the mom and pop housing providers, the small landlords, was the most devastating financial impact in the history of Oakland, with probably close to $500 million in owed rent. And it's still going on with the extortion, the legalized extortion of these small housing providers by unscrupulous tax-funded organizations like La Raza. Now we're continuing this incestuous pay-for-play, agenda-driven, an agenda to destroy U.S. cities. Barbara Lee is a self-proclaimed communist. Barbara Lee tells you she's a communist or a socialist. They're working with the Chinese Progressive Association. They're working with foreign adversaries to install things like ranked choice voting to destabilize our democracy, dismantle our police so we can't fight off the fentanyl, and then they subsidize us with fentanyl. Then they work with the cartels. All of this is documented and it's coming out. What are we doing about it? Because if you're going to allow the feds, the federal government, to come in, as you heard from my last episode with that executive order that was signed on April 28th, I don't want that. But if you're like me and you don't want that, you better pay attention to what's happening in Oakland City Hall. You better pay attention to what's happening in Oakland City Hall. This transition team needs to be watched like a hawk. Barbara Lee's first 100 days needs to be watched like a hawk. We need to be all over it, demanding full accountability, and that every single thing that they say they're going to do, they do. And as for our budget crisis and our upcoming layoffs, and I'll end here. Same thing with our school board, which is pretty much 100%, with the exception of Mike Hutchinson, run by public sector labor union operatives. People who work for a union are on the school board. Direct conflict of interest. The taxpayer has no seat at the table. The taxpayer has no seat at the table. Same thing with the city. We have been captured. Public sector labor union, they run the city. They got Barbara Lee elected. Every single person on city council, with the exception of Ken Houston and Charlene Wang, is directly funded by them. Charlene Wang has some labor support. I think Ken Houston may have some support from the trade. But the supermajority of council and our mayor answer to that tree, that stick man. They answer to them. They're not here to make Oakland better. They're here to do exactly what you see happening. And if you don't wake up, they're going to succeed. Wake up. Subscribe to Gotham Oakland. Share this video with people. Share it around. This is very, very, very urgent, people. This is urgent. The speed at which they've collapsed Oakland, our property values were on the incline all the way up. into 2019. And all of a sudden, they're not just on a decline, they plummeted. Decimated means to cut by 1/10. Decimate. They've been more than that. They've been cut nearly in half, if not more. This is the plan. They are here to destabilize and destroy our cities because they don't want a democracy. They don't want a I'm sorry, we don't have a democracy. They don't want a representative republic. They don't want a constitutional republic. They don't like local democracy. They want full blown soggy shit. And I'm not even going to call it socialism because if they were really true Marxists, they wouldn't be so cozy with all of these billionaire predators. They wouldn't be so cozy with them. Whenever it's convenient for them, they do it. Wherever it's convenient for them, they do it. I'll give you know what? That's my show. I'm going to give you one more example. You know, I can't get up out of here. One example to illustrate my point before I go. All of this about the environment. As you saw, they funded the San Francisco Foundation, funded environmentalist issues. You have a global agenda that we must stop, go carbon neutral. We must move to full renewables. All of this urgency. But not a word is said about the data centers. When it comes to the data centers, it's like, huh? What? Can you show me any of these well-funded and astroturf environmentalist groups focusing on data centers? These are the biggest power-hungry entities known to man. You think Bitcoin mining is power intensive? Data centers will suck up the power in your local town and take your water away. It is insane. They need dedicated nuclear power plants damn near to power these things. And you have data centers popping up around the country. What is a data center, you may ask? We'll talk about that next week. I gotta get you back here, right? Look it up. It's not hard to find out what a data center is. But you see this little black mirror here? You see that Christine I'm staring at and all the stuff I'm recording this show on? It takes all of that. Everything we say, everything we do, everything we buy, everything we look at, it's all for sale. It is all for sale. And it's also used for predictive algorithms. It's also used for the Internet of Everything, called Web 3.0 and 5G and all that good stuff. And we're going to have to connect everything as we accelerate toward a more AI-driven and automated economy. American economy started with skilled trades. That's the American Federation of Labor, quick labor history lesson. We moved to Industrial Revolution. That's the CIO, the Committee of Industrial Organizing. Then we moved to a service economy, which led to the rise of the Service Employees International Union. Now we're moving into an information age, in an automated age. And it's terribly exciting and very frightening. And I've always been a person who says I'm like the Flintstones and the Jetsons. And sometimes I'm a Luddite and sometimes I'm very excited by it all. Not that I can change anything, but this is the direction that we're going. And people much more powerful than myself, people who actually have a direct stake in these things financially, people who control our commodities, people who control our banking sector, people who control our information. They are very active. They are anticipating changes, and they're helping to drive these fundamental changes that are reshaping how we live our lives and see ourselves as humans on this planet. So the most important thing that you can do is keep your humanity and your empathy. And the biggest red flag are people who are devoid of empathy. And yes, that goes for the tech bros too. The big complaint I have for that sector, the ones and zeros guys. We're not ones and zeros with people. We have hearts, we have minds, we have souls, most importantly. We have souls. I hope yours is pure. I hope you're confident in your own integrity. And I hope that you've stored your reputation, your riches in the heaven where your treasures cannot rust and the thieves cannot steal them. Gotham, Oakland, peace. I love you. See you back here Monday. Big week next week. I got some big stories. And I'm really excited about the content that we're going to be putting out. And I hope that you're sharing it because you're not going to hear these things anywhere. And remember, you heard it here first. You heard it here first. Peace.
Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here.